welcome back to our Shining the Spotlight series, where we shine our light very, very brightly on the incredible initiatives that are working to drive positive change in STEM. We are joined by the incredible founder of Pineapple Women, Andrea, who is here today, and I would love for you to please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you for having me here. I am Andrea Chaves, originally from Colombia, and I've been an educator for many, many years. And today, as I said, I am the founder of Pineapple Women, which is a nonprofit organization based in the US. And we empower young women, especially young Latinx women, to recognize their value. And we do it through digital technology.
Such an important mission, and I'm curious for you, getting to that point, you are an educator. What was that moment, or I guess the experience that led you to starting Pineapple Women?
I lived in New York for many, many years, and as I said, I was a teacher. I studied as a Spanish teacher. And the first year that I was at the Young Women's Leadership Schools, which now is called Student Leadership Schools, to be more inclusive. I was there. The girls, students were amazing. And I started seeing many, many little talents here and there. And I wanted to basically give room to those talents. So I asked the principal of the school if I could just use some time to just look at these talents. And she's like, okay, and how do you want to do that? And I say, maybe an after the school program. I started this after school program the first day. 7 girls came. We started just exploring what were the talents. And I just told them we could do anything here. And then very quickly, and maybe the same day, we discovered that one common ground to create something with those talents that they had was technology. So I was like, great. So we are going to start doing some technology integrating. So it became kind of like the common ground for that. So, for example, one of the girls loved films. So we started editing. She started like learning how to edit. Another girl loved writing. So we were like, okay, so you are going to be the one that will be helping us write the scripts of these films. The other girls one girl loved design and loved to draw. So this girl started like making characters. And like that, we ended up, our first project actually was making a movie, and an animated movie. And we did it pretty quickly, and it was just like using those talents. So that's kind of like, oh, okay, this works. And we were lucky enough that someone was at the school and it worked for Apple. And she asked if we could do a video about a personalized life of our students and this type of environment that it was kind of like personalized education. And we did it for her. She was really impressed that we did an animation instead of like filming, and that it was so quick. And when you are using a student's talent, things might happen. That's kind of like the first step. When I saw that happen, I was like, okay, we need to like keep creating things like that. We need to keep recognizing these talents and giving a space to these talents. Like I call it a playground. So creating playgrounds for the students to come with their talents and create things together. So a lot of more flexibility with the comment of technology.
So how did that experience, you went from that to then Pineapple Women. Tell us a bit about that journey.
So in the school that I was, 40% of the student population were Latinas and 30% of the population were Muslim. The rest of it was some other cultures and ethnicities. And then I saw how they were very, especially the Latinas, were very attached, like to me. I was kind of like a magnet to them. And I started seeing that in just a year being in the school, when I will ask them, what do you want to be in the future? There will be many of them as the same teachers, which love it. I am a teacher, I'm an educator, but I saw it as a problem as well, because I was like, okay, there is a limitation over here that only people will see in this role model. And I need to bring more role models. So I started bringing a little bit more of role models that look like them, to so they could see the other possibilities. But I was very shocked. This we talking about almost 20 years ago, when I went out, and it was very hard to find role models that were Latina. And I myself was in shock. That's when I started kind of like researching gender gap, the Latina gap in the US, especially because that's where I am. And then actually he came out to like even do some research about the Latinas in Latin America. And the numbers were very shocking as well. So I kind of like became my hobby, just find these Latinas, tell the stories, connecting them with my students. And whenever I saw one Latina coming to one student and opening the possibilities in their minds, it was just like, oh wow, I could do this. And then I became an ambassador for technology. I started involving myself with Girls Who Code, which is another amazing nonprofit organization, Technologicas, which is another nonprofit organization that focus on Latinas and technology. And it was easier to create this community of these. Here are more role models, and the girls started seeing the possibilities, and when you could see it, you could be it.
This is why those role models and that representation is so important. So your journey, you started to get more involved with other communities, and I'm very familiar with these nonprofits as well. They're all amazing. What then got to the point of Pineapple Women?
I would say when I was an educator, I let my students lead the path, right? When I left education, and I left it because I got married, my husband is a little bit of like irony on this, but yeah, my husband has a much better job in terms of salary. Then we started like going everywhere, so I couldn't be a teacher anymore. So we started going from London to New York to Los Angeles. So we moved a lot. So I said, okay, it's time. I will find something to do. I will still do something with my passion, and my passion became girls and education and empowerment, and recognizing the powerful of like recognizing your value. So I always knew that I wanted to keep highlighting these role models. So when I stopped teaching, I started this library, right, virtual library of women in different sectors and different careers, just interviewing them and telling them the stories. I was writing the stories. I was actually in London when I started this, so I started just a webpage. I started just writing, interviewing women, and then I have two little sisters, and one of them called me and said, "Hey, my friends are really into these stories. Can we help somehow?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, sure." She was in 8th grade at the time, and it was two girls, and it was like, "Okay, we are going just to help with the stories and just writing them." And I was like, "Great." And then when my other little sister, a year older than the youngest one, said, "Oh, you are helping? I want to help too." And she goes, "Okay, can some other of my friends help because they really like this mission?" And I said, "Yeah, how many? 20 of us want to help." And we're like, "Okay, great." And so, funny enough, they are not in the US, they are in Colombia. So I had about 22 girls that were volunteering, and They were like around 14, 15 years old. And I said, okay, what am I going to do with these 22 girls now? And so some of them could write the stories, some of them could do the newsletter for Pineapple Women. And then I said, well, what about if I skip that step of me interviewing the women and then they start interviewing the women? So it's a little bit more of the connection over there. And so I started training the girls to make interviews now, video interviews. And they started doing that. And I started seeing once again what I have seen before. The possibilities started opening. The women, like, they just like fell in love with these girls because every time I could see it in their eyes, like if I had only had that when I was that age, and kind of keep helping them. And then from there, some girls from Ecuador started coming, and some from Chile, and some from Peru, and some from Panama, some from the US, even some from Canada started coming and saying, hey, yeah, I want to do that too. And I was like, okay, great. And that's how we started evolving as, okay, this is a little bit more than just a virtual library of stories. And then a friend of mine saw me working on it. He's like, what are you doing? And I explained to him, and he's like, okay, this sounds like a nonprofit organization. Why don't you register it? And I was like, okay. So we started the whole process of registering Pineapple Women as a nonprofit organization. And here we are.
Sounds like you have like an absolute dream team that's supporting you and helping you. And of course, now Pineapple Women is where you are today. I want to ask as well about the name. Tell me a little bit about the name and the significance that it has for your values.
I love that question because the pineapple it came out of one conversation with my other sister. We are 4 sisters. So the one that follows me, and we were having a conversation about if we wanted to create a company, if we wanted to create something, how we would call it. And my sister said, I would like to have a name that you could play with. And I said, okay. And for some reason, pineapple came to my mind. And we were talking about dreams. And we were talking about what do you want to do and what do I want to do. So she wanted to do something with tutoring in education. I wanted to do something with empowering women and girls. And so I was like, okay. So we started just playing with the word pineapple. And so I just imagined, like, for some reason, when I say pine, it is, for me, rhymes with climb, and like climbing up. And then my sister is like, oh, and it says 2 words, raise the pine and move the apple. And the apple represents so many, like, beautiful stuff, and the pineapple as well. So we started researching a little bit about pineapple. The pineapple has so many facts. The pineapple is the queen of the fruits. The pineapple originally is from South America. The pineapple has many, many eyes, so you could see a possibility. It's the fruit that is rigid by the sun. I love the saying of stand tall and wear the crown like a pineapple. And in Spanish, it's a saying that it says, piña para la niña, which is pineapple for the girl. Every eye of the pineapple is really a flower. And in order for the pineapple to create the whole body of the pineapple, one flower starts, and it starts giving some room to the other one to create kind of like a community. So, I mean, I have like 30 more, but that's on. Find some more on our website.
I didn't realize there were so many facts about pineapples, and pineapple is like my favorite fruit ever. So I can't wait to go over to your website and to look at even more of the research that you found on pineapples. I love how you really wanted to like play on words, and you found a name that really exudes your values, and that's amazing. So you are where you're at today now. You've told us a little bit about the journey of how you got to that point. So could you give a breakdown of what your programs now look like at Pineapple Women?
So we still have that program that I told you, like we train the girls to interview the women. And then after that, if they want to keep in contact with the women, we kind of like help facilitating that. Then right now, we are doing our first cohort of a summer program. It's virtual. And we are the girls are going to be making their own websites about themselves. So they could recognize their value, understand their stories, create a strong narrative about the stories, celebrate their achievements, and understand what they do need next to create stronger skills and with skills that they already have. So that's one of our programs. I used to live with my students back when I was a teacher, and it was super successful. Most of the students that understood the narrative, understood their stories, and could actually just pull it and say, "This is me. I give you my website. If you want to learn a little bit more about me." It was so easy for us for me to help them with their scholarships, with their applications to college, and to just start their resume and even to start their LinkedIn, because they see that was, if I'm not mistaken, it's more than 90% of those girls got full-time scholarships, and all of them went to college. So when I was understanding Pineapple Women last year that we were organizing, when we got the 501c3, the status of a nonprofit in the US, we sat down with the board of directors and said, okay, how we are going to organize this. And I got some pretty good mentors from a program for Latino entrepreneurs. It's called Brooklyn to Bogota. And they connected me with tons of mentors. And the mentors kept asking me, what is the program? And I was like, okay, what is the program? So trying to understand, what can we create? What can I give these girls that they could just really recognize their value? So I came back to what had worked for me in the past, and now looking at it even better. So that's one of our programs. And in that program, the girls are going to have the opportunity to interview wonderful women as well, connect with mentors, see other stories, but also create their own stories to present to the world.
That's brilliant, because you're combining so many of these challenges that the community are facing, you know, the lack of representation, the role models, having the accessibility to learn, to grow, to enhance the self-esteem, and you're merging it all into one. And I love that you give them the space to interview these other women out there, because you learn through stories, you learn through people's journeys, and that can totally ignite inspiration in somebody, for sure. And for anyone who is inspired by your mission at Pineapple Women, what are some ways that they can get involved and help?
We are always looking for help. So the old direct is obviously you could go to the website and donate some money, so girls could get these scholarships to attend this program, and we could expand to get these programs in some other places of the world. We are also looking for volunteers always. So if you want to volunteer, also please go to our website. We yet don't have all the volunteer stuff in our website, but email us and then we will get back to you. If you know of someone that needs to be in our virtual library, that heard a story and needs to be in our virtual library, please let us know. Also, that it's a place on the website where you can nominate someone. If you know of a girl that will benefit from our program, please let her know that the program is available. So anybody is welcome to come and help, and be part of this community.
Well, that's great. And I'll be sure to put all of the links in the description box below. So folks who are interested, they can reach out to you, they can get involved. I'm also wondering as well, what does it mean to become a sponsor of Pineapple Women?
As I said before, the non-profit world is also new for me. So becoming a sponsor of Pineapple Woman has been a journey for me of understanding what companies really align with our values. So that's kind of like the first step. If you believe in women, if you believe in women empowerment, if you believe in helping to close the gender gap, please knock on the door and say, let's have a talk. And we have packages already made. Actually, I call them be the eyes of the pineapple, be the heart of the pineapple, be the crown of the pineapple, and be unique. So those are our packages that obviously I will talk to whoever it is wants to learn a little bit more. I think that the most important is that the values align, that you believe in mission. I was just looking yesterday at Kate Blanchett at the Cannes Festival. It was at Cannes, and she was saying that only 82 female directors have walked those stairs in the, I don't know, 71 years of Cannes, and 1,688 males have walked those stairs. I think that doesn't even make 5%. I think that makes like 4.6% of women representation. And I think that is a clear picture of where we are. And I think that when I talk to people, a lot of people don't get it still and don't understand it. And they're like, oh, but everything now is women because we need it. It's representation in so many ways. It's still so low. The most visual industry is the filming industry. It's what we see the most. It's what boys and girls see every day. And then this is what's happening. And yes, we have changed a little bit the front of it, but in the back end of it, like directors and people that are making the movies, and when you walk into these offices, the representation is so little. So if a company that understands that and that really wants to change that wants to come and help, we are doors open.
Check out Pineapple Women, follow what they're doing, spread the word about their empowering mission because it's so, so important. And Andrea, we have loved shining the spotlight on your important work. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much for having me.